however, there is a gender identity that is linked to the seasons. This is called
mental illness. You're white, sweetheart. Who raised you? A white father? Like, I understand that maybe you have beef with your dad or something, but you don't need to project that onto the rest of our men out here.
Stop the cap.
Go hug your white dad for me today, for that lady. Hey guys, what is up? And welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, we discuss all things culture and politics. And in today's video, we are going to be returning back to the weird world of woke TikToks. Y'all love it. I love doing it. Actually, that's incredibly questionable if I love doing this, but I do it for you. But before we get into all that, y'all, we're doing a lot better than we were last time, but I have to give out a warning again to heed my disgusting ass nails, my ratchet ass nails. Yes, I am missing nails on a few fingers, but you know what? I got a lot more on than I did in the last video, so I think we're getting better. We're getting better. So before we take a look at what the liberals are crying about now, if you could do me a huge favor, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. You don't have to, but you should. Make sure you follow my TikTok down below. I post all sorts of content over there, YouTube stuff, vlogs, things like that. You can get to know me a little bit more. And with all of that out of the way, shall we? Okay, let's see what these crazy motherfuckers are up to today, shall we? First up on the docket.
I went to Target to get some alcohol because it's Friday, but I don't have the money to pay for the alcohol. So guess what I did?
What'd you do, girl? What'd you do? You didn't. Did you?
I was just gonna take it. I mean, it's free, right?
She did it. She did it.
They put the prices on there, but I think that's just for like if you want to pay. It's not mandatory. I mean, if I did see something that I wanted to buy, like I could have, but I didn't want to. I just wanted the alcohol because I had other plans for the day. Tell me why these motherfuckers, I guess they were just on like patrol today because it's a Friday. It's starting to get hot outside. They know how the motherfuckers is around the area. But I wasn't the only person stealing in there. And I could tell you I wasn't the only person stealing in there because when I walked up in that bitch, I saw two stuffing chips down their pants, trying to be inconspicuous. Bitch, a thief knows a thief. I see you. But I didn't do nothing about it. I'm like, oh, okay, my people up in here today.
Okay. You know, I've had quite a colorful past. Okay, I've done a lot of questionable things in my life. I've broken the law a lot in my life. In fact, I've been convicted of breaking the law quite a bit in my life. But you know what? One thing I never did was get online and talk about it and brag about my crimes. This is like basic criminal conduct, okay? Never admit to your crimes on the internet. Now, secondly, another code of criminal conduct is don't steal. In all of the horrendous things that I have done in my past, selling drugs, counterfeit money, lots of things that I don't want to say on camera because I still think that way. One thing I never would ever do, because to me, in my mind, like in my addict mind, there was still no way to justify stealing, okay? Stealing is the lowest form of crime. It's the lowest form of crime. Us criminals, we even look down upon shoplifters and boosters because really? Okay, anyways, I mean, what more is there to say about this? I'm just gonna go ahead and guess that Miss Girl lives in California, right? Okay, let's move on.
We are talking specifically about white men. And I'm just gonna say it. Fucking unapologetically going to say it. White men are the most dangerous species in the entire fucking world to women and to everyone else. So we can reframe, right? Men want to be like, not all men. It's always a white man that fucking says that, by the way. Not all men are like that. Okay, so let's reframe the question. Would you rather be trapped in the woods with a white man or a black man? A white man or an Arab man? A white man or an Asian man? A white man or an Italian man? This one might be tough. A white man or a Frenchman? White men are the problem. You are who we are all afraid of. And if you all do not start fucking changing your shit, we're gonna come fucking eat you.
Don't make me say it. Don't make me say it. To be honest, I would probably prefer to be stuck with a white man. Yes, I would. Why do y'all do this? Like, I don't want to get on here and make a bunch of stereotypes. Okay, I don't need to do that to make my point. But I think you're picking up what I'm throwing down. Like, if we really want to go there, You brought it up, lady, not me. What is the hatred for white men? I don't understand why in 2024 we're still doing this. People like you are the reason why the red pill community in the manosphere exists, or fucking Pearl for that matter. Y'all can thank yourselves for that one. Are there bad men in the world who happen to be white? Of course. But are there also bad men in the world who happen to be black or Asian or Latino as well? Yeah. Like this whole proposition that you're stuck in the woods and you're stuck with a man and you don't want to be stuck with a white man, God forbid. I mean, I just, what? Like this whole song and dance is just boring. It's old. Like it's so unoriginal. It's not true. And it's bizarre. You're white, sweetheart. Who raised you? A white father? Like, I understand that maybe you have beef with your dad or something, but you don't need to project that onto the rest of our men out here.
Stop the cap.
My father and my husband are both white and they happen to be wonderful people. My ex, not so much, but you know what?
Haram!
Relying on weirdo stereotypes like this, it's boring. We've seen enough of this, okay? In fact, it's so bad, I don't even want to keep talking about it. So let's move on. I want to hear something that isn't tired, that we haven't heard a million times, that we all know isn't true. Go hug your white dad for me today, for that lady.
Why is it that white folks support anti-blackness, racism, and white supremacist culture in so many goddamn fucking ways? Why is it that we support it through our silence, our defensiveness, our denial, that code of silence? Let's not talk about it. Let's ignore it. All that fucking gymnastics, that defensiveness, the fucking anger, the passive aggressiveness, the stereotyping, the overt, covert racist, all the shit that we do, the gaslighting, all that fucking shit that we do as white people. Why can't we just leave black people the fuck alone?
Speak for yourself, sir. Speak for yourself. I don't do any of that. I do not do any of that. Excuse me. Maybe you do all of that, but I don't. So speak for yourself.
Why? Because we were taught that shit. It's our culture. White supremacist culture is American culture. It's European culture. We see ourselves as overseers. We ourselves as entitled to control and judge black people. White Americans wanted, back in the day, we demanded black people be segregated, right? So we segregated black people said, okay, great. We're going to make our own shit. They started doing great. What did we do? We fucking burned their communities down to the ground. And you're gonna sit in your fucking silence? You ought to be ashamed of yourself for not giving a fuck.
You know what I think? I think that a lot of us good-hearted white people, we tried. We tried to give a fuck. We did. Because these globalists and these leftists and these liberals tried to convince us and manipulate us, including black people, not just us white people. They tried to convince all of us that we were racist and that America is racist. Meanwhile, many of us lived our entire lives not even thinking about that because, let's be honest, we had gotten to a place in society where we had really moved past that. But you know what? A lot of us, we stopped to think. We did, didn't we? We stopped to hear y'all out. We did. Because if this race hustling commentary and ideology was real, well, a good person would want to hear the theory out. And you know what? A lot of us did. But you know what happened? Y'all lost our sympathy because it's just never enough. It was never enough. It wasn't enough when you guys burned down tons of American cities in the name of a fellow criminal. It wasn't enough that we have changed our entire infrastructure to include more people in DEI programs and whatnot. Like, it's just never enough. So at some point, you gotta understand that a lot of white people realize that it's never enough. And a lot of people have, in general, have started to see through the facade and understand that the race hustling is a tactic that the left uses to garner sympathy and gain votes. I can't believe somebody is making this video in 2024. Like, bruh. We're done. We're done. We all know that America and that most Americans are not racist. Okay, we all know that. And we gave you your minute to try to prove us otherwise. And you know what? Y'all took advantage of it. And I'm not talking about black people here. I'm talking about anybody like this man here that buys into this shit. Or even organizations like BLM. They took advantage of it. In the name of George Floyd and his family and helping black Americans, they stole millions of dollars from Americans all across the country so that they could fund their little real estate ventures and their $1 million homes and line their pockets. So how anybody at this point in time still believes this and is still going along with this is just crazy to me. I believe that myself and most Americans are just out here trying to get by. All right. I don't think most of us are walking up and down the street, scouting out for people of color, performing microaggressions towards them. No, most of us are all just trying to get through life, get along, and judge people based on the character that they present in front of us. So enough with this. Again, same old sorry, tired song and dance. Like, we're over it. This is not going to work anymore. The only way to get by in life truly is by your own merit. And you're going to have to grind. It's going to suck. Life isn't fair. Life is offensive. That's never going to change. So let's wrap it up already.
Every single one of you that can't talk about it, that spews fucking racist narratives, stereotypes, denial, gaslight. That's not their reality. Telling black people what the fuck they should think, feel, do, be. Fuck you. Do better. Reject your fucking training, your indoctrination. Question your own goddamn morality racially for once in your fucking life.
Maybe you should do that, because who's really oppressing people of color, or black people, I guess in this case, in this day and age? Who is it really? Every single election, these Democrats come out and they tell black people, we're going to solve all your problems. We promise. All the problems that we created, we are going to solve them for you. And guess what? They never do. They never do. Meanwhile, you have people like myself out here, conservatives, whatever, who believe that everybody, regardless of their color of skin, regardless of their background in general, everybody deserves a fair shot in life. Everybody deserves opportunities in life.
I'm tired.
I'm tired. What's with the music? Definitely is a vibe.
Like, it's
not one I'm sure I want to be a part of, but
I'm tired of what my people have done, what they continue to do. I'm fucking sick of it.
sick of what? What are you sick of? What does that mean? Why are you crying? What are you sick of? What are we doing? What are we doing? And what is the supposed solutions that you have to propose here? Because crying on the internet about something that is honestly not really even based in reality is not going to solve anything, all right?
I'm tired of seeing people suffer. I'm tired of the fucking inequality. And you ought to give a fuck too.
I feel so bad that this man truly believes this. That's crazy. Next.
You wrote, so if someone that isn't white hates on a white person based on their skin color, what do you call that? You're not going to like my answer. I call it justifiable. White-bodied people have conquered and colonized almost this entire planet. As a history teacher, I teach my students about the scramble for Africa, in which all of these European countries came together to decide which parts of Africa they were going to colonize. And then about the age of exploration, in which Europeans sailed over to the Western Hemisphere and committed genocide against any and every indigenous population they came across. And then I teach about the transatlantic slave trade, and then slavery, and then Jim Crow, and then the war on drugs, and then mass incarceration, and then about people that deny the experience of Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color to this day. So you ask me what I call a person that hates on a white person because they're white? I call them a reasonable human being who's just making decisions based on reason and experience.
I love when people like this just conveniently leave out other conquistadors. I mean, can we talk about Latin America? They conquered quite a lot. It's not like only white people set out to conquer land. Oh, it was just the white people. You're a history teacher. You should know that. I'm honestly not even that well versed in history, and I know that. Tons of Asian countries also conquered land. Latin Americans also conquered land. That is just how it was done. Is it right? That's a different argument, but we can't change history. And it wasn't just white people that were conquering land back in history. And the fact that anybody thinks it's okay to be racist towards white people because of things that our ancestors did when we actively aren't doing those things today. And there's plenty of us apparently out there trying to, right our wrongs. Whether they're doing that is, questionable, but whatever. They're trying to. So to think that justifies being racist towards white people is ridiculous. I mean, what fucking planet do you people live on? How self-hating do you have to be as a person? Like, how unloved were you as a child for you to be encouraging and justifying racism towards white people as a white man? Of course, we can condemn the actions of white people of the past and, by the way, other races as well who partook in slavery. It wasn't just white people. Of course, we can condemn that, but that doesn't mean we need to condemn ourselves in the current day. Then why don't y'all condemn Africans? Because Africans also enslaved people. Why don't y'all condemn Middle Easterns? Because Middle Easterns, in fact, in the Bible, there's plenty of factual evidence that there was a lot of slavery going on. It was just the way it was. Again, does that make it right? No. That's why we don't do it today. But to sit here and act like white people as a race deserve prejudice or whatever is like, dude, there's a reason why people are done with this, and there's a reason why people watch my videos like this, reacting to insane TikToks like this that you've just made. There's a reason why people do that, and there's a reason why it's just like, it's not in reality. I swear it's always a motherfucker like this too who like doesn't know any black people at all. They don't know any black people. They don't know any, they don't, it's like they just, it's honestly kind of gross to me how you're going to sit here and think that you can dictate whether or not people should be racist towards white people. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Moving on.
Eco-anxiety is an environmental justice issue that disproportionately impacts Black youth. Let's talk about it. According to the American Psychological Association, eco-anxiety is defined as a chronic fear of environmental doom, and that may include feelings of worry, guilt, shame, despair, and even hope. However, just as the climate crisis doesn't impact people and communities the same, neither does eco-anxiety. When we fully understand the relationship between social determinants of mental health and climate change, we begin to understand that the nature of a person's eco-anxiety is also informed by systemic factors that exacerbate the ways that it's felt and addressed. Communities of color, and particularly Black ones, are more vulnerable than white ones to sea level rise, wildfire, and heat waves linked to climate change. Black youth are more likely to reside in hotter regions that trap and radiate heat, have the highest asthma rates in the country, and are increasingly more likely to experience mental health illness, all while having fewer avenues to really access often life-saving resources, whether it be access to affordable healthcare or access to green space like tree canopy cover that can help mitigate extreme heat. When we couple contributing factors to mental health like poverty rates and white supremacy with generally worse exposure to environmental hazards and the climate crisis, we begin to understand how a racialized difference in eco-anxiety can emerge.
Well, take it up with God, lady. All right, take it up with God, because the only person who can control the fucking climate is him. All right? They just want everything. They want everything. I don't even believe in climate change, okay? But let's say I did for a minute. Now white people can't even be afraid of climate change, even though they're the ones who, okay, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. White people can't even be afraid of climate change anymore because that would be racist of us to do. It's like, what? Eco-anxiety. Climate change is racist. Like, you can't make this up. First, sleep was racist. If you saw my other video, sleep was racist. And now climate change. The climate itself is now racist. And it's all our fault. If you're white and you're watching this, it's our fault. It's our fault that the climate is racist towards Black people because they are located wherever they are, where I'm sure white people are located as well.
Not the cat.
Nobody is getting out of this one, all right? Nobody's getting out of this one. Everybody's racist now. You can't get out of this one as a white person. Of course you're racist because you live in the climate that these Black people live in. That's gonna kill them, apparently. What?
Bruh.
I can't believe this lady just sat here and like legitimately made, like, this is so... I have nothing of value to say to this because there was no valuable information heard. I'm sorry I'm super feisty on this one today and maybe not providing any helpful commentary. It's just like at some point making these videos, I get really tired of hearing it because it's so ridiculous. It's so not based in reality and just looking for any excuse to further the divide between white and black people, whether they realize they're doing it or not, that it's like, it's just disheartening. You know, it honestly is. How are we going to get humanity back together again when things like this are constantly being spewed? Hurrah! It's like, what's our solution to this? Okay, fine. The climate is racist. Climate change is racist. And what do you propose as a solution? How can white people fix that for you? It's hard to not laugh at, because if I didn't and I had to really sit here and digest what's going on here, I think I would go crazy. Next.
Did you know, however, there is a gender identity that is linked to the seasons? This is called
mental illness.
Gender season. And this is a gender identity I've only just learnt about. It's a micro identity. It's not an identity that I have ever heard discussed before. It's a new one for me. Gender season is an individual who explores their gender identity in relation to a season or all the seasons. So this might be somebody whose gender expression and identity is linked to one season, so for example, winter. Or this might be somebody whose gender identity and expression changes depending on the season.
Okay, this isn't funny anymore. The alternative population, we were doing all right when we had MySpace and we could spend all of our time on the internet coding cool MySpace layouts. Tumblr, you know, things were getting a little more fishy. Things were getting a little bit more, you know, dangerous when Tumblr became involved for the alternative crowd because ED's on there and whatnot, but still pretty safe. Now, in 2024, the alternative community, this is what it has come to. This is what they have to do on the internet now. Make TikToks about all the genders of the world just to do whatever it takes to just be as abnormal as possible. Except this has consequences, dangerous consequences. The alternative crowd, I think they're gonna die off with this generation, because if they keep going on with all of this, then they're not gonna be able to procreate at some point because they keep their little things off down there. That's all this is. Y'all know that, right? Like, this type of person was who I was in high school, except we just didn't have all this gender nonsense back then. You know, we were just emos who dyed our hair and got piercings and listened to Warped Tour music. And now this is what it has turned into. And how anybody can't just see that that's what this is insane to me.
Mom, it's not a phase.
I sure hope you feel that way in 10 years when you've literally mutilated yourself and caused tons of your generation to mutilate themselves. It is a phase. If this is where the alternative community is at this point, like, what's next? Because we jumped from MySpace to trans and non-binary and all that real fast. And I'm just a little bit scared about what the alternative community is going to be into next. It's looking grim from here. It's looking grim. Okay, moving on.
My white daughter's first response when she saw the new Little Mermaid trailer was, "Oh, it's so cool that she's not white." Why? Because I've spent years talking to my kids about the importance of representation, about the ways that white supremacy shows up in entertainment, and about how seeing color is an important part of activism and working towards equity and social justice.
All right, so I already have a problem with this because now you've just admitted to you that it's not about equality. It's about putting people of color on a pedestal. They're better than us. Oh my gosh, it's so cool that the Little Mermaid isn't a stupid white person. Like, honestly, dude, I don't really even care about all this. I know that they used a black actress in Little Mermaid to make a point, right? To feed into this entire dialogue that's going on and the division between races. But if that wasn't why it was done, I honestly wouldn't care, because I don't know. It's not like the Little Mermaid needs to be a historically accurate representation or something. Like, it's a cartoon. If they want to use a black actress and she seems like she's a better actress for that part, fine. I don't care. But we all know that's not what it is. And to me, this TikTok, whoa. I don't know. If I was a black person, I don't think I would like that. Don't do that. Don't fetishize me like that. Oh, we only like this actress because she's black. That's not okay either. Obviously, you're going to teach your children to be accepting of all people, that you judge people based on their character, not on the color of their skin. Teaching your children to goo goo gaga over somebody because of the color of their skin, that's weird. Why are you doing that? If it was actually about equality, then y'all wouldn't think too shits about it. Like, oh, there's a new version of The Little Mermaid. Let's go see it. You wouldn't really even have to go there with the race, but you do because you guys are obsessed and weird and delusional, and you honestly like fetishize people of color. It's so weird. Like, I don't even think they realize they're doing it, but they do. Like, God forbid your daughter just be interested in the movie and like the movie because the actress did a good job playing Ariel.
I say this not to brag, but to encourage other white parents to have these conversations with your kids.
You absolutely are saying it to brag. Like, stop. Like, stop. That's exactly what you're doing. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't be making this video. We all know you are the classic liberal who just wants to brag about how not racist they are and how amazing they are because they care about people other than themselves, even though it's all about you. We all know that. Again, same old, sorry, tired song and dance. We're done. All right, we know exactly what you're doing. You are bragging.
A lot of white parents are afraid to talk about race because they think children don't naturally notice race unless it's taught to them.
Maybe that's the way it should be. Maybe if that's the way it was, we wouldn't be where we are right now, with racial tensions higher than ever.
But in fact, the opposite is true. Children start showing recognition of and preference for certain races as early as 3 months. And by kindergarten, many of them show the same internalized biases as adults. In study after study, white children who are not explicitly taught about race show prejudices that shock their parents. Talk to your kids about race often. Ask them questions, role-play scenarios, warn them about others who might be prejudiced, and give them tools to handle those situations.
Children tend to go for things that are familiar. If mom and dad and sister and brother and grandma and grandpa are all white, they're obviously going to gravitate towards other people who are white, especially as young kids, because that's what's familiar. And in a child's brain, that is what is safe. Now, can you have conversations like I had mentioned earlier and talk about how we don't judge people based on the color of their skin, and it can actually be a good thing to get to know people of different races so that you have different perspectives in life and you can learn about different cultures and whatnot? Of course, but that's so not what this is, and we all know it. So what do we get from today's video, class? We got that sleep is racist, climate change is racist, and now babies are racist. So, you know, I guess the left is winning today because everything is racist now. On a real note, I understand that people of color, primarily Black Americans, have faced many great struggles in our country. I 100% acknowledge that, right? I'm just sick of white people, white liberals using Black people and using people of color as a way to make themselves feel better. Because in the process, they're just dividing us all that much more. It's causing so many issues in society. When I have children, I want them to understand that we judge people based on their character. I've had close friends of every race imaginable. And in real life, nobody actually talks about this stuff. Nobody actually interacts with people of other races based on this weirdo liberal logic because we live in reality. And you know what? It's also not weird that people tend to flock to people like them. I mean, hello, Black people tend to be with Black people most of the time. That makes sense. Nobody ever judges them for that. It's a natural way of life. That doesn't mean that you purposely segregate yourself then from another race or that you condemn another race because of their race. But people have been sticking to their tribes since like the beginning of time. It's like biologically wired in us to do so. So I just don't want this video to come across that like I don't empathize with some of the historical struggles that people of color, specifically African Americans or Black Americans, have struggled with. I do. It's just we're not living in those times anymore. And at this point in America, I'm not saying that it's not going to be hard, but there is opportunity for everyone. To act like it's a race-based thing at this point is old and it's tired and it's delusional. If we want to have a real conversation about class, that's a different thing. And class does not just affect Black Americans. That is a conversation that I'm willing to hear out. I'm just tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. So that is all I have for you guys today. I know it's kind of a short one. I don't know. I'm not in the happiest of moods right now. I'm fighting an infection. I'm cranky. I'm tired. And I can't bear to listen to another minute of this liberal psychobabble, okay? So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you have any video ideas, any topics you'd like me to talk about, I can do the woke TikToks forever, but I'm always happy to talk about other things as well. And before you go, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you liked this video, and I will see you guys in another video soon. And remember, God bless you and God bless America. Bye.